friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS editorial analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss them. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. We have taken today's editorial from the Hindu and it has appeared on 26th of August. The title of the editorial is Down But Not Out, and the editorial says that political instability in parts of West Asia and North Africa is allowing the Islamic State space to operate. So now let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. So it directly links with GS paper 2, where we have international relations. And under this, because we will be discussing UN Security Council and its role in combating international terrorism, so it links with important international institutions. So after establishing the linkage with the syllabus, now let us look at its key points. So before moving on to the key points of the editorial, let us understand what the issue is all about. So recently the UN Office of Counter-Terrorism has presented the UN Security Council with its latest report on the impact of ISIS on international peace and security. ISIS here stands for the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. And the report says that the threat has grown in conflict zones as evidenced by the regrouping and increased activity of ISIS fighters and some of its affiliates in Iraq and Syria. The report goes on to say that in non-conflict areas, the threat seems to have decreased in the short term with the COVID-19 induced lockdowns and restrictions apparently lowering the risk of attacks. And the report also points out some of the hotspots of the activity of ISIS. And these include Iraq and Syria, North Africa and Afghanistan. Now let us see these places on a map. So here we have a map of North Africa and the Middle East. And the hotspots of ISIS activity are in Afghanistan, where it is active in the form of Islamic State of Khorasan province and which has been accused of launching many attacks on the ethnic minorities. Similarly, ISIS is also active in parts of Iraq and Syria because there is no stability and there is fighting going on between the government forces and the rebels. And similar situation is seen in Libya where there is no stable government and the rebels are fighting to take control. And this has allowed ISIS to become active. And not just Libya, ISIS is also very active in the region surrounding Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. So in this belt also, ISIS is very active. And in Africa, the Islamic State is active in the form of Islamic State of Greater Sahara. But in all these places, ISIS is locked in a conflict, not just with the government forces, but with also Al-Qaeda, which is the outfit which was established by Osama bin Laden. And the point of divergence between ISIS and Al-Qaeda are as follows. The ISIS accuses of being soft and deviating from the core jihadist ideology, while Al-Qaeda accuses ISIS members of being bloodthirsty ultra-extremists who have given the Mujahideen a bad name. So there is ideological conflict between ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Another important point we should note here is that sometimes we hear about MENA countries. So what is MENA? So MENA basically stands for Middle East and North Africa. And sometimes it is also called as WANA, that is West Asia and North Africa. So we should be also clear about these terms and their meanings. Now let us look at the key points of the editorial. The editorial starts by saying that the political instability in parts of West Asia and North Africa is allowing the Islamic State the space to operate and regroup. And this is borne by the statement made by the UN counterterrorism chief Vladimir Voronkov, who has said in a statement to the Security Council that the continuing presence of Islamic State terrorists in West Asia, Africa and elsewhere should be seen as a serious warning by the countries in these regions, as Islamic State can regroup very fast and can become a danger to these countries. Editorial further adds that 2 years after the Islamic State was declared defeated, more than 10,000 IS fighters remain active in parts of Iraq and Syria, and this is very troubling. Also, the Islamic State driven terror attacks have been on the rise in all the parts of the globe where this group is active, especially in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria, and parts of North Africa. And the editorial also says that besides Iraq and Syria, where the IS had established a proto state in 2014, which was ultimately destroyed by multilateral war efforts that lasted for 4 years, the terror outfit now has a province in West Africa with nearly 3,000 fighters, according to the United Nations. And here we should know the term proto state. What is a proto state? So, proto state basically means a quasi state which is not a proper state. Now, here we should also know the attributes of a full fledged state. So, a state must have a defined territory, a permanent population, a sovereign government, and capacity to enter into foreign relations with other countries. So, these are the four chief attributes of a modern state. But a proto state means a primitive kind of state which was established by Islamic State in parts of Iraq and Syria. Also in the war-torn Afghanistan, Islamic State in the form of Islamic State of Khorasan province continues to stage attacks targeting ethnic and religious minorities. And the editorial says that Islamic State may no longer control any big city, but its rise from a breakaway faction of Al Qaeda in Iraq to one of the world's most potent terrorist groups should be a lesson for all the stakeholders that it should not be taken lightly. And ever since they have lost territories, the Islamic State fighters have withdrawn from the front lines and have started operating in cells in the deserts, mountains, and hinterlands of the conflict-ridden countries. Also, the Islamic State ideology is very dangerous as it has led to a lot of lone wolf attacks in many parts of the world, especially in the Western European countries, where a person who has hardly any connection with Islamic State has gone and indulged in a terrorist activity just on the basis of supporting the Islamic State's ideology. And these kind of terror attacks are very difficult to stop. And the only way to counter it is by running a de-radicalization program by the affected countries. Further, the editorial says that Iraq and Syria are particularly vulnerable to the IS's resurgence as these countries are yet to be fully stabilized after the wars, and this political instability has led to the rise of IS and such other terrorist outfits. And even now these countries are not politically stable, which is a cause of concern, and this needs to be addressed by the international community. The editorial says that in Syria, the Bashar al-Assad government has practically won the civil war, but Syria is now a divided country as different outfits are running the different parts of the country. The government is controlling most of the territories, but a coalition of jihadists and rebels is running the Idlib province. In the northeast part of Syria, the Kurdish rebels have declared autonomy, and on the Syrian-Turkish border, Turkey, backed by pro-Turkish rebels, has carved out a buffer and has been in permanent conflict with the Kurds. So all of this gives a great opportunity for Islamic State to regroup and become powerful again, and this needs to be guarded against. The editorial also says that there is an uneasy quiet in Syria and the situation is inflammable and can erupt anytime. Similarly, Iraq has finally got a government after months of protests and instability. But here also, the Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi is torn between the US and Iran, as pro-Iran Shia militias continue to target US troops inside Iraq, and this could turn the country into a battlefield between Iran and US. And this kind of instability will once again give opportunity for ISIS to regroup and emerge in Iraq. And the story is not very different in Africa. Libya has two governments which are fighting each other before a ceasefire was declared. And this Libyan conflict has spilled over into Mali and Burkina Faso, where jihadists have established a solid presence. And the Islamic State affiliate, which is operating in North Africa, goes by the name of Islamic State of Greater Sahara, ISGS. And this ISGS is in conflict not just with the national governments of these countries but also with Al Qaeda. The editorial makes the point that chaos breeds militancy and the IS or similar outfits would remain active as long as these countries remain unstable. And this is very true, that this political instability is the root cause of such militant activities and the rise of such terrorist outfits such as Al Qaeda and Islamic State. Especially, Islamic State has its roots in the US invasion of Iraq, and it started growing by exploiting the civil war in Syria, and it became a danger not just for Iraq and Syria but for the entire world. So, the regional governments as well as their international backers should be mindful of this fact, and if they fail to address the regional fault lines and continue to fight each other, the jihadists could emerge winner once again. So, basically, what is needed in West Asia and North Africa is political stability, governments which have a democratic outlook, if not a democratic way of functioning. And for this, the international players, they need to come together and they should not try to engage in proxy wars as has been seen in Syria, where Russia and US have been on the opposing sides, and this has led to more bloodshed. So here the UN Security Council must play an active role in creating a situation for political stability in these conflict-ridden states and not allowing the international terrorist organizations a free hand to operate. So this was all in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at some key concepts. So in key concepts, let us look at United Nations Security Council. So it was established by the United Nations Charter in 1945, and the Security Council has primary responsibility of maintaining international peace and security. The Security Council has 15 members. There are 5 permanent members: the United States, the Russian Federation, France, China, and the United Kingdom. The non-permanent members of the Security Council are elected for a term of 2 years, and here we should know that India has been selected for a 2-year term beginning January 2021, and this is the 8th time when India has been elected as a non-permanent member. The other countries which have been elected alongside India are Mexico, Norway, Ireland, and Kenya. This also we should be knowing. And each member of the Security Council has 1 vote, and decisions of the Security Council on matters are made by an affirmative vote of 9 members, including the concurring votes of the permanent members. A no vote from one of the 5 permanent members blocks the passage of the resolution. So this is the veto which is enjoyed by the permanent 5 members. And the Council's presidency rotates every month among its 15 members, and the headquarters is at New York. Now let us look at the 1267 Al Qaeda Sanctions Committee. So the Sanctions Committee of the United Nations Security Council was established under Resolution 1267. That is why it is known as 1267 Committee. And it was established in 1999 to impose limited sanctions on Taliban. Now its ambit has been increased. And when this committee designates someone as a global terrorist, it has following implications: asset freeze, travel ban, and arms embargo. So all of this operates on that individual. So this was all in the editorial analysis. Now let us look at what kind of questions can be asked in prelims and mains. So in prelims, the question can be based on locations. For example, West Asia, the countries which are in news like Syria, Iraq, also the countries in North Africa, for example Mali, it has seen a coup in recent days. So we should be sure about its location on the map. Also question can be asked about Islamic State and Al Qaeda. So we should be knowing the basic facts about these organizations. Question can also be asked about the 1267 Committee of UNSC, which is the Sanctions Committee. Also about India's term in UN Security Council, which is going to begin from 1st January 2021, and this is the 8th time that India has been elected as a non-permanent member of UN Security Council. Question can also be asked about the Arab Spring, which basically led to a volatile situation in parts of North Africa and West Asia. So it started from which country? So the answer is Tunisia in December 2010. In mains, the question can be asked about whether the long-running conflicts in North Africa and West Asia provide fertile grounds for the growth of terror outfits such as ISIS. Also, a question can be asked about the role of United Nations Security Council in countering international terrorist organizations and what it should be doing. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.